Welcome to the Everyday is Saturday podcast, the #1 motivation show on the planet.
No more Mondays for you. It's time to make every day Saturday. Boom!
This is the podcast where we help you to accept who you are, not where you are.
On the roller coaster of life, you know we only sit in the front seat, champion. So make sure you are fastened and tight. Let's go!
Tired of feeling run down all the time during the week? We can help you make every day feel like it's a Saturday.
Let's go. Pack your bags. It's time to leave Averageville.
Introducing the man who thinks abnormal stands for above normal.
When you're on fire, people will travel from miles around to watch you burn, baby. We are fired up.
The host of the Everyday is Saturday show, Sam Crowley.
Hello, champion, and welcome back to the Everyday is Saturday podcast. Let's dive right into today's show. Hey, yesterday we talked about being a 1%er, right? Being in the top 1%. And it's funny. I said, hey, you want to be in the top 1% of podcasters? You know what you got to do? Hang with me, gang. It is a tough road. You got to record more than 10 episodes. That was yesterday's podcast. Literally put you in the top 1%. All right. You know what else puts you in the top 1%? Maybe not 1%, but you know what I think? So give me some space here. We might get a little sappy. It's the holiday season anyway, so it's the perfect time to be sappy. Got all the Hallmark movies and all that music. I'm a Christmas music junkie, by the way. Cannot get enough of it. Favorite album? Nat King Cole. Not even a close second. But I do prefer all of the oldies more than any of the new stuff. There's a space in my heart for the new stuff, but I'm a Bing Crosby, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Mel Torme kind of Christmas music guy. So that's what I like to listen to. So it's all about being sappy. But you know what else puts you in a really rare category? And that's being a good person. Online. I'm talking about online. There's so much bad stuff online. Would you agree with that statement? I mean, you don't got to look very far to find all the hucksters and all the shysters and all the snake oil salesmen out there trying to get you to give them their money or taking jabs at you or being mean and things like that. I don't spend a very long time online. People are like, hey, Sam, how do I build a big Facebook group? I don't know. I got one. I had one. I'm actually not even on Facebook anymore with a group. Moved it to a private platform. Just too noisy, too negative, politics, all that stuff. Hey, Sam, how do I build a big Instagram following? I don't know. I probably got 27,000 followers or something out there. Last time I checked, I don't post incessantly. When I think I got something, worth it, I'll put it out there. What about YouTube? You got 4,000 subscribers. Wow. Well, that ain't very much. It's more than zero, but I prefer, how do I say this the right way? I prefer to attract individuals like myself. I think I'm a good person. Never touched a hard drug in my life. Been married 25 years, got 4 kids. Didn't get into the whole, I certainly, we put it this way as I start stuttering. Did I tell you I'm an ex-stutter? I am not without sin. I am not without sin. God, I don't even want that to be the main takeaway. But I try to be a good dude, man. Yeah, I try to be a good dude. I try to offer a good service, helping people craft and create their own $1 million message at a fair price. I love the engagement. I love people. I love community. But I love being around the right kind of individuals. You know what I mean? Like we're not all everybody's cup of tea. And I think when you get into this online game especially, you feel like, geez, I gotta speak to this person. I gotta speak to that person. Yeah, I used to feel that way too until I realized that's nuts. I mean, there's so many people out there online. You don't have to minister to everybody out there. Put a message out there that vibrates with you and them and that you can really get behind. Like this is something that really gets you jacked up and go with it. Teach a lesson, solve a problem, share your words out there. And it doesn't matter if people get it. I've had people, I remember when I first started this podcast, I went back home, my hometown for a little bit. So I was like, hey, is Crowley a pastor now? Somebody got back to me. Someone was asking, is Crowley a pastor now? They're like, I don't think so. Oh, he's preaching out there. He's got this podcast. I'm like, hey. I mean, look, if that's what you think it is, I kind of like that. It is a ministry. Make no mistake about it. I believe everybody has a ministry, and I think you should get after it sooner than later. But being a good person out there, I think you can always find a way to make a buck, but I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. Would you agree with that? Like, there's a right way to make money, and there's a wrong way to make money. And I would gladly miss out on the riches out there if it meant sacrificing my name or my integrity or anything else. It's not that you're not going to have a bad review. You know, you're like I said, if you can't be everybody's cup of tea, if you ever get in that online game or selling any kind of product or service, heck, even if you're offline, you sell a cup of coffee to somebody. Not everybody's going to like your cup of coffee. You're going to get somebody out there or locally that says something bad. It's okay. All right? That's okay. It's not your fault. Just didn't vibe with them. You know what I mean? But as we come towards the end of this year, we move into a new year. I always try to look back and reflect. I know you do. I think we all do. It's natural. We should probably do this in March, you know, not necessarily wait till the end of the year. But I think it's always important to look back and say, hey, what are some of the things I did right? What are some things I could do better? What do I like best about what I've done? And I think as I look back on this year, and the reason for this podcast was not to do a deep year-end reflection, but just, you know, a statement. I like that I have attracted into our coaching program the right kind of individual, the passion person who feels like they got a story to share, they got a lesson to teach, and they need help getting it out there, and they're going to do it in a good way, like their heart's in a good spot. I said no to a lot of deals this year. I said no to a lot of opportunities this year, and I feel good about that as well. Because maybe I missed out, you know, on a big payday, or maybe I missed out on a big stage I could have spoken on, but it didn't feel right. And there was a time that I would have jumped on every opportunity just to keep my name out there, just to keep the cash flowing. But as I get older, you know, here's a perfect example. Last night we had our oldest daughter came over with her fiance, and we had all the kids. My 2 daughters are home for college. We got our 9-year-old, my wife. It was unbelievable. I looked around the table, and it was just everything that I wanted it to be. Everything I thought it could be 20 years ago. You know, 25 years ago when I got married. You know, thinking, boy, if I'm ever blessed enough to have a family, what would it be like? I wanted to be Mike Brady. I wanted that cheese ball family photo. I wanted the minivan. Got that. Probably had a little bit too long for our taste. Got the minivan. Driving the kids to school, singing, you know, hokey songs, going through the drive-thru at McDonald's. We did it all, man. And I think of the best memories, and you do too. Think of the best memories. Did they really cost anything? I don't think so. Walks with your kids, picnics, playground, that type. Hanging out, just hanging out. Just literally hanging out at the house talking. Last night we had everybody together. My wife cooked her world-famous chicken parm, and we had a salad, and nobody got drunk. There was no insults flying. There was no drama. We had Christmas music playing in the background the whole time. I mean, it was flipping beautiful. And if I can get to that point in my life, I'm just talking about me. I can't do it alone. My God. I got a wife that's tolerated me all these years. I got kids that have tolerated me all these years. But just speaking about where I come from, you know, if I can get to this point from all the dysfunction in my past, anybody can do it. And I'm not anything special. I say it on every episode, you know. Never share my earnings. Don't talk about how much money I make. I'm not interested in that. I do love the thought of abundance. I believe we serve an abundant God. I believe we serve a God who wants us to prosper in our health, in our finances, in our relationships. I believe we got to show up and do the work. I think we got to understand why we're here. I think we're here to share our creativity, to add value to the world, and to stay cool, stay positive. That makes you different. That's how you stand out. Speaking about yesterday's podcast, the 1%er, I don't know what percentage of the people out there are showing up authentically. I don't think it's a whole hell of a lot. I mean, you can probably vouch for me, right? You look out there. I'm not putting goofy selfies out there on Facebook trying to send traffic to a funnel just so I can sell you a Tripwire product for $7 to get you to buy a $70,000 coaching program. I think there's some good people out there, and I think there's some bad people out there that are utilizing messages they don't believe in, putting a facade out there that's not really who they are, and they're afraid of being who they are. I'm not. I show up every day on this podcast just trying to be a guy that adds a little bit of value. Some hokey-doke dude with a $10 haircut from Great Clips lives in Cincinnati, Ohio on an acre of land, you know, with 2 border collies, and that's it, man. And I'm perfectly content. But I'm not content in the sense that next year, as we move into 2024, I want to build this ministry larger than it's ever been. I want to have more people in our coaching program because I know the more people that come in, the more lives get impacted. It's called the ripple effect. We teach them how to share their message. They share it with the world. More lives get impacted. And you can do the exact same thing. But that night, last night, having the family together at the dinner table, let me tell you, man, if the good Lord took me today, that would be the highlight of my year, right? That would be the highlight of my year. I loved everything about that. Didn't cost a dime, didn't have to put on a show, didn't post a selfie about it online. It was just us and our family. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. It's exactly what I envisioned 20 years ago. So what's the point of this message? Get yourself to that spot where you can just show up who you are. Don't be satisfied where you are, but be content with who you are. And together, you, me, all of us, man, let's go into next year absolutely focused on building it bigger and better than it's ever been, because it can always get better, but don't ever lose sight of who you are, because it's okay. Like, you can build a huge business, a huge movement, a huge following, understanding what your message is, understanding the value that little space that you take up online, offline, wherever you decide to build this movement, this ministry, and be okay with that, because it's going to grow. Where focus goes, energy flows. All right, let's do it. Say it with me, gang. Have the best day ever. And that's a wrap. Another Everyday is Saturday podcast in the books. Thanks so much for listening. Would you do your boy a favor? Would you get on iTunes or wherever you listen to the Everyday Saturday podcast and leave a rating for the show? It helps amazing people like you find the show faster. And that's what I'm looking for, amazing people like you. Hey, I'm always hanging out on the interwebs. You can check me out on Instagram at EverydayIsSaturday. Let me know you're listening to the show. Love hearing from fans of the Everyday Saturday podcast. And one last thing, when you're ready to launch, get on my calendar, go to launchwithsam.com. You and I are going to work together to set rocket fuel to your dream. Are you ready? Let's do it. I'll see you on the next Everyday is Saturday podcast.